talk about some software, and I'm going to talk about SkillMill just as a resource. Okay, so this is John, and my name is Godwyn, and I've been running a children's program for years and years, and those children started to grow up, and we realized we needed an adult and a teen facility, and we created SkillMill just a few months ago. We just opened in September. We just signed up for 3D Hubs, so that was really great. And this morning, actually, we got our first order. So that was exciting and good timing based on coming here today, right? So if you're interested in how to sign up to be a 3D Hub member, we can explain that. And I'm sure Dano can tell you that too. So SkillMill is a place where he had that slide up earlier where you can bring us a file that's already been created, or we can create the file for you. We're trying to be a resource for the general public. It's a place to make things. Who's heard of a maker space? So maker spaces are similar. They are generally membership run. We're not a membership. You don't have to be a member. You can come and use our facilities or use our services. We just charge you for whatever it is you're doing. So you don't have to be a member. So these are some of the things we have, including sewing machines, which turns out to be the most requested item we have, I think because people know what it is. The other things, the laser cutter, 3D printers, etc. We run workshops and classes, as well as providing services. Can you see that? Is that all visible? Okay. Now this is the laser cutter. How many people have seen a laser cutter? So we love it. It's amazing. Can do so many fabulous things. And you can even use the design software that John's going to show you. The same software you would use to produce a 3D print. There's additional software that will then take a 3D model and slice it, let it cut. The laser cutter can then cut the pieces, and they come out numbered, and then you glue it back together. So that's an additional resource. Okay, these are just some of the products that we have been making for people. We can etch designs on things, we can cut. These are more examples of things that we're making. The great thing about laser cutting is you can either etch or do photographs. You can see the two Einstein. We make lamps. We're just making lots of things. We want you to come and make things. We want people to come with ideas of what they want to make. We have lots of resources. This is the current thing that we're doing. We can scan you with safe scanning and then print you. And we're doing that at our facility. That you have to come in person. We can't do it from a photo. But it's very quick. It doesn't take long. It doesn't hurt. And so that's... we just won an Ultimaker printer because we participated in the Ultimakers Challenge at Maker Faire. And this is what we were selling at Maker Faire. We designed this, we printed it. This is our business card that I didn't bring any with me, but if anybody from here comes to SkillMill, we'd be happy to give you one for free. It's a phone stand, although somebody sent me a picture today, they're using it to put their wristwatch on at night. I thought that was cute. I got a picture of that today. So that's a quick overview. We're happy to answer questions. Now John is going to give you an overview of some of the software. So you're going to switch.
Yeah. Cool. So I'd like to thank Dano for coming out tonight, and then IoT Hubs for helping to put together this meetup. So my name is John Goodwin. I work for SkillMill NYC, where I primarily focus on 3D design and 3D printing services there. So who here has ever done anything with a CAD software before? Cool, awesome, cool. So quite a few of you. So what we're going to be talking about today is mainly the different types of CAD softwares there are out there and all the different options that you guys have for producing your designs for prototyping on the 3D printers. Cool. So I'll just go over this part real quickly. So basically, CAD software is computer-aided design. It's a computer program that helps you to produce the design that you are trying to have either 3D printed or laser cut or produced in some other manner. Okay, we have like 2D systems. Those would be Illustrator, CorelDRAW. Those is what you use for like the laser cutter or vinyl cutters. And then also 3D solid modeling. software, and that's the type of stuff that you would use for the 3D printers and what we'll be talking about tonight. Cool. So when it comes to 3D design software, there are mainly like two separate entities. You have your engineering software and then your artistic software. And the main reason I added this in here is because a lot of people who I've talked to at work and stuff always ask me about Blender and using it for 3D printing and product design. And Blender is great for doing like artistic stuff. If you're trying to make a model that's not functional, it's just an artistic piece, these softwares right there work really well. But if you're trying to actually make a functional prototype that is 3D printed, and so if it has like a screw hole, that has to be a certain dimension or size, and all that stuff matters, you're going to want to use the engineering software. And there are a couple of them up there. And the first three, Tinkercad, 3D Design, and Fusion 360 are the ones we'll be talking about tonight. And all three of those software are from Autodesk. And if you're an entrepreneur or you're starting out trying to learn this stuff, Autodesk is really your best friend. They have 10 different softwares that are like completely free. And then they also have all of their software that has free educational versions for students and educators. So basically, any of their software you can download and start learning how to use, and then start paying once you're making money off the software and using it in like a corporate setting. Okay, so has anyone here used Tinkercad before? Cool, so a couple. So Tinkercad is probably the easiest to use out of all of the 3D design softwares. It's web-based, it's completely free, and basically what you do in Tinkercad is you just drag and drop shapes. So basically, if you can build with Legos or build with anything in the real world, then you can create something in Tinkercad. So if we go through here, so basically we're just dragging, dropping shapes to make a little snowman right there. And then what you could do is you could just download this design right here and print it out right away. And if you have a simple, easy to use, or easy to make design with not a lot of complex shapes, Tinkercad is actually like one of your best friends. You can create a design in like 2 minutes and have it on the printer. If you have more complex designs though, say if you have like a complex curve or something that isn't a basic shape like a cylinder or a circle or something like that, you're going to need to use a more professional CAD software. And 3D Design is another one by Autodesk. It is free for anyone to download, so you can download it straight to your computer. It works on PC and Mac, and it is more of a sketch-based design. So to create something in this software, basically what you actually do is you will draw everything onto your work plane right there, that blue area, and then using all of the tools in the software, you can do stuff like extrude it out to create the shape. You can revolve. You can also do patterns around a certain point. And this allows you to basically create any shape that you want. And it really gives you a lot more flexibility to create complex, intricate designs than you could with like Tinkercad. Okay, and then the final software we're going to talk about tonight is Fusion 360. It's also by Autodesk. There's a free one for students and educators. It runs on PC and Mac, and really you can do basically anything in this software. You can do all of the design work that 3D could do with even more tools. You can also do simulations on your parts, so you can do stress tests and other simulations like that, and then you can render the parts in there as well with certain materials on them. So if you want your part to have a metallic look or granite or a wood look to it, you can apply that material to it and then render a picture of it in the software. Okay, and so this is basically how you'd make that same snowman in Fusion 360. So again, you can create the sketch there. You can use a different sketch tool to make some more complex curve for like the hat. then you can just define like the axis that you want to rotate around, and then you can basically revolve is what it's called, the tool in the software, and you just revolve that sketch around the axis and you can create your shape. And then if you look over here, right there on the left-hand side, so that is just a white plastic material that was added on to the model in the software and then rendered. So you could add basically any material type you would like to it. All right, and here are a few links to where you can download these different softwares. The first two are free. Fusion 360 is pretty much free as long as you're not using it in like a corporate setting. And even if you are using it for that, it's only $40 a month or $300 a year. So it's a much better deal than like Rhino and SolidWorks and some of those other ones. Cool. Okay. Are there any questions or anything? Cool. Thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions or want to get a card from either me or my boss, feel free to stop by and talk to us afterwards. Thank you.
Just if anybody has questions.
Oh, sorry.
So my question is for the first speaker. Did you say? Yeah. Hi, thanks for coming out tonight. My question
Yeah.
thanks for the presentation. My question is about if you all have any sort of vetting process for people to get into the group that you all have, or if there's some sort of rating for people who use each of the providers.
Yeah. Can you all hear me? Sounds good. Yeah, so 3D Hubs is open to anybody who has a printer and just wants to be part of the network. If you want to join, you basically list what type of printer you have. You just list the type of printer you have and set some basic defaults on what your pricing structure would be. If you're able to ship, if you have the ability to print invoices and stuff like that. And then you will do a first test print. So there is a verification process in that they'll send you a mock order, which is just Marvin, the little Marvin print, and you print it out and take a photo of it to prove that you do have the ability to print it. And then they say, oh yes, you have an order completed. And then ratings after that are based on customer reviews. So you're rated on 3 different metrics: communication, print quality, turnaround time. And so as you become more and more experienced, as you get more ratings, you move higher up in the listing. So as people are looking for you, if there's, say, 10 different printers available in the radius around someone who's ordering a print, and you're one of them, as you start out, you're lower in the rankings as you have fewer reviews, and then the more experience you get, the higher you move up, the more likely you are to get some visibility. That's the basic breakdown. Yeah.
Other questions? Maybe while you're thinking, oh, here we go.
Yeah, this question is for skill. Your classes that you have what classes you're offering, is it at your location, or is it online?
Yeah, they're all at our location.
Location. And what kind of classes are you offering now?
Well, we're trying to figure out what people want. Mostly, right now we're doing introductory classes. So we're doing intro to Arduino, we're doing intro to sewing, we're doing intro to 3D printing, to CAD design. John teaches a lot of the software programs. So that's how we started. As I said, we just opened a few weeks ago. So, but if you have ideas or you can teach something, or you have something you want us to teach, we're happy to add to our listing.
Another question here.
Hi. So to scale NYC. So you mentioned the software that you use, and it's interesting that you mentioned several of them that are free and accessible. So what about hardware? Could you maybe, for the sake of Celestia, give a list of printers and what you will advocate for and your preferences.
Yes, so the hardware that we use, or?
Yeah, the printers.
Okay.
Okay. Well, folks might be thinking of other questions. I had a question for you guys, probably for Dan here. You hear a lot about mass customization, or the idea that it sounds like what you guys have been doing, which is having kind of like a decentralized approach to enabling 3D printing. Can you tell us a little bit about the business model and how that works for 3D houses?
Sure. I'm not an official employee of 3DM, so I don't know that much about the internals of how they're returning investment to investors. But in general, the decentralized network of 3D printing relies on people submitting orders, and then 3D Hubs will add as a fee on top of that, some small percentage. And so for every order completed, they're getting a small percentage of that order. So for me personally, when I receive an order, I see the order submitted, and I see the price that I see is what I get. But you can dig into that and see that the customer is actually getting slightly more. And that's sort of the fee that 3D charges for being on their network.
Great. But it sounds like the benefit of that is that within 10 or 30 miles of those places, there's a 3D hub.
Yeah. For the most recent data analysis they did showed that for over 1 billion people on the planet right now, we're within 10 miles of a 10-mile radius of 3D printer. And that's growing quickly as we move the next bit. Hopefully all those 7.
Wow. That's impressive and exciting, especially for entrepreneurs who are thinking about international implications of how you can distribute prototypes and making prototypes through 3D hubs and other such services. So that's pretty incredible. Great, another question.
Sorry, with 3D hubs, is there any IP considerations? If I send you a file, are you bound to keep my IP constraints?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if the general rule is when you sign up for 3D as a hub, you're also signing a general NDA disclosure. So in some cases, people will send me something to print and think it's like really great. They want to take some photos of it. And the general rule is just to be polite and consider them. So I don't document in a professional way anything printing for someone else without their permission. And in a couple of cases, the NDA that you sign through 3D Hubs isn't sufficient for people who are working on more high-profile or more secret projects. So in a few cases, I've signed separate NDAs that they have written out and sent me. So people are free to be covered by whatever sort of non-disclosure agreement they're comfortable with. But 3D Hubs, just by default, has a blanket one if you're printing for that.
And it seems to be like it's not just NDA, but also saying that the IP does belong belong to this, whoever's submitting the file. So not only does the IP belong to them, but you can't disclose. That's okay, great. Great questions. Any other questions? Oh, yes.
This is a follow-up question. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, and I was just browsing through the 3D hubs that you have. And I've just noticed that majorly, maybe East Africa or generally Africa, it's not as the same case as other cities. So just from a business point of view, why isn't the expansion maybe in these cities not so much as the others? Because in my view, there are actually 3D printers, so many of them, maybe it's exposure, they don't know about this, but let me hear it from you.
It sounds like kind of get exposure elsewhere where there isn't as many heroes.
Yeah, so there's the coverage of your users worldwide is mostly focused in cities along with population, and the growth of the network is attributable to the sort of outreach that 3D Hubs does, but the larger portion of that is just how many people are desiring to be a part of a larger network. I know for me personally, the big draw, aside from trying to make some side income, that was a minor consideration in contrast to the larger mission of 3D Hubs, which really appealed to me, which was that by doing this, you're sort of becoming a foundational point inside your community. And so through 3D Hubs, I've met a lot of people who are neighbors of mine, and it sort of creates a forum in which you meet people in your community and form larger networks. Then are not simply just creating easily trackable metrics like money turnaround time, but more harder to define metrics like interpersonal connections and the type of ideas that come about when you're in conversation with people around you, getting to know them and sharing ideas. And so I think depending on the type of community, there will be a more or less inclination to participate. So I'm not sure, it's a complicated question, and I'm not sure really deeper answers of it, but that's my personal experience.
Thanks. And to be fair, Daniel was, not an employee of 3D Hubs and is kind of the community mayor here in New York, so he's speaking from his experience. But to his point, it sounds like that's something that 3D Hubs, it sounds like it's part of their overall plan to reach globally so that they do have more nodes in their network. Godwyn, did you have anything to say in terms of kind of what led you to come back to the network?
John did it.
Okay, let's get started.
Yeah, I just discovered it online actually about a month ago. Yeah, and it just seemed like a great thing to get involved with, yeah. But I did find that kind of interesting, I was saying, getting more people into it though, because I'm pretty active in the maker community and everything, and even until like a month ago, I had not heard of the 3D Hubs, and I had seen the name around, but I didn't really know what it was. So that was kind of an interesting marketing question.
Yeah, and there's, obviously at any of these meetups we feature some organizations, not all of them in the landscape, so there are obviously others as well. And, I'm sure there's probably a spectrum in terms of what their mission and goals are. So definitely encourage you all to check out the whole spectrum, but I hope that tonight is valuable in terms of exposing folks to 3D Hubs and to scale them and hear more about prototyping. So thank you everybody for coming out and have a great rest of November. Also, last final shout out, and thank you again to the team at LX for sponsoring us. We do appreciate it.